It's time now for something rather different on the programme and something a little lighter. Solange Mougin is with us here in the studio for the Entre Nous segment, Solange. And you're going to talk to us today about French neighbourliness. Apparently, you tell me this is a word. And whether French people see themselves as good neighbours. First of all, tell us why we're talking about this issue at all today.
Well, I thought I would give those of us watching here in France, but also those abroad, a heads up and enough time to prepare a dish or some snacks for their neighbours. For this coming Friday, it's la Fête des voisins, or Neighbours' Day, here in France, but also in some 30 countries where this tradition is or has been celebrated for the past 25 years. Sometimes it goes by other names like Fête de l'immeuble or building party or EU Neighbours' Day or barbecue party. Now, what exactly is la Fête des voisins? Well, it is quite simply an annual event where voisins, or neighbours in French, gather either in their building, their backyard or courtyard, or even on blocked off streets to have a drink and a bite to eat together and to get to know one another. Tens of millions of people take part in this every year in France and abroad as well. For the 20th anniversary, according to the organizer, 30 million people celebrated. Of them, 10 million were in France. Now, for many, it is more than just a moment to socialize.
Beyond being comfortable inside your apartment, you can also feel that way in the building. The goal is to feel at home. When we know each other, you feel less judged by your neighbor.
It's a party about solidarity and connection, getting normal contact back between people.
And Solange, look, this year is the 25th anniversary of the Fête des voisins. So how did this idea come about in the first place?
Well, its origin story is actually quite remarkable. In 1999, a man living in the 17th arrondissement of Paris, Affanaz Périfond, started an association with a group of neighbors called Paris d'Amis, which is actually a word play on, means betting on friends as well as Paris. They did this because 2 years prior, in 97, a woman died in her apartment alone and no one knew about it for months. So the idea was born of creating events where neighbors could get together and help one another. For its founders then and now, it is an event that continues to bear the fruit of solidarity, but also to combat increasing loneliness and the constraints of city living.
It's harder here. People do things differently. Apartments are smaller. People gather in common spaces. But everywhere, there's this enthusiasm to meet others.
I thought people wouldn't come. People here are self-centered, but actually it worked right away. I can't say it's getting better because it's always been great.
So Solange, a question I had is, why is there actually a need for an event like this? I mean, do French people see themselves as good neighbours or not?
Well, they do and they don't.
Okay.
French neighbours have had issues with, of course, French people have issues with their neighbours like everywhere. A poll last year by YouGov found that 7 out of 10 French neighbours, French people actually do think that they have positive relationships. They regularly go and visit a neighbour. 65% said they have a good relationship with them, especially in regard to being discreet, helpful, and available for them. However, nearly the same amount also say that they have been bothered by their neighbours before, with noise, intrusiveness, and rudeness being the top complaints. Now, the difficulty of getting along, especially because of noise, is not a new problem in France.
Careful with old lady Rousseau. She doesn't like it when kids scream below her window. Madame Rousseau is a terror for kids. She chases them with her broom when they play in front of her.
We still don't know anyone, except for people we see in the elevator, and even then.
We live with the people upstairs and downstairs.
They drag their chairs at night and put music on.
Today, many of the same complaints are still true in cities, but also in the countryside as well. Last month, a bill passed Parliament that makes it harder for disgruntled neighbours to sue local farmers over the noise that their animals and their machines make. I don't want to focus on the bad, though, as this is about la Fête des voisins. So I'm going to leave you with the positive. The YouGov poll I just spoke about that was done last year, it says that 80% say that they have helped a neighbor before. Some 74% have become friends, and some 23%, well, they've actually fallen in love with their neighbor.
I don't believe that statistic. That's insane, Solange.
Yeah, it is insane, isn't it?
Well, I love that. Makes me feel like I need to get to know my neighbours a little more. All right, that's the goal. Solange Mougin, thanks very much indeed.